though it was formally inaugurated in 1921. Its motto, where the whole world meets in one nest. Here he would gather the best minds from East and West, from all over India and from overseas. To him, Vishwabharati would represent the quintessential wisdom of India, nurtured and nourished through ages of give and take with the rest of the world.
We see all kinds of things about Rabindranath. We find his English rather stilted, his poetry too airy-fairy, his head too up in the clouds, that he never stepped out of his ivory tower for the cause of the common man. But that one single letter of protest was an act of courage unmatched to this day. Yes, we're talking about the massacre of innocents at Jallianwala Bagh. While the nationalists were busy negotiating for seats in the parliament, and even the firebrand politicians were scared to protest, one solitary voice disproved all those allegations against him. He resigned his knighthood like a torn, discarded garment. His ringing prose became more poignant than any poetry he ever composed. His English rose to the occasion in an exemplary style and cut the rulers quick. His compassion spilled out spontaneously for some distant countryman whose martyrdom was buried in hushed silence.
Contrary to a widely held notion that the title Mahatma was given by Rabindranath to the father of the nation, he used this adjective to refer to Gandhi more frequently in later years. Despite many open conflicts and disagreements on strategy, the respect the two men had for each other cannot be doubted. And yet, no two persons, both great in their own ways, could be so radically different from each other.
In September 1921, there was a clandestine meeting between Gandhi and Rabindranath at Jodashankar. Gandhi requested the poet to support his civil disobedience movement. Rabindranath was critical of the selfish and short-sighted nationalism. The conversation went something like this. Rabindranath says, "Suppose you succeed in driving the British out. What happens then? Do you really believe that the Hindu and the Muslim will live together forever?" Gandhiji says, "But Gurudev, you know very well my whole program is based on non-violence. You're a poet, Gurudev. You believe in peace, don't you? So join me. Let's work for it together." Rabindranath stands up slowly, walks to the window, looks out, and gestures at Gandhiji. "Come, look down there and see what your so-called non-violent followers are up to." Is that non-violence, Gandhiji? The non-cooperators have stolen pieces of foreign-made clothes from the Chitpur Bazaar nearby and lit a bonfire with it. Rabindranath sighs. It's easy to unleash emotions. It's far more difficult to control them. Think about it.
1926, Potsdam, Germany. A little brown wooden house on a hillock, with a roof of red tiles. Tall palm trees surround it like watchmen. After a profound philosophical discussion with Albert Einstein, Rabindranath and his companion are on their way again.
Abiyo, দেখো।
গুরুদেব, আপনি ঠিক আছেন তো?
আচ্ছা, এগুলো কি সত্যি?
খরগোশগুলো সত্যি গুরুদেব।
আচ্ছা, আমরা এখন এখান দিয়ে না গেলেও কি ওরা থাকতো?
প্রফেসর আইনস্টাইনের মত তো তাই।
অ্যালবার্ট এই ভুলটাই করছে। এইটাকেই সত্য বলছে।
গুরুদেব, দেখে বসুন আপনি।
আচ্ছা, অ্যালবার্ট তো গুণী মানুষ, বুদ্ধিমান মানুষ, কি চমৎকার বেহালা বাজায়। ও কি সত্যি বুঝতে পারছে না, নাকি জোর করে বুঝতে চাইছে না? মনটাকে বন্ধ করে রেখেছে। নইলে আমার কেউ দেখলুম না, জানলুম না, একটা ঘরের মধ্যে আছে বলেই সেটাকে টেবিল বলে মেনে নিতে হবে? আমার চেতনা আগে বলবে ওটা টেবিল, তবেই তো ওটা টেবিল হবে।
কিন্তু ওটা তো ওখানে সত্যি আছে গুরুদেব। এই সত্যটা আপনি অস্বীকার করবেন কি করে?
তুমিও আবার অ্যালবার্টের মতো করো না। আমিও এই যে আমাদের চারপাশে গাছ, পাথর, মাটি, ঢালু জমি, সবুজ গাছের পাতা, এটা যে সবুজ সেটা আমাদের কে বলে দিলে? আমার চেতনা, আমার চেতনা যেটাকে যেভাবে সত্য বলে স্বীকার করে সেটাই সত্য। মানুষের চেতনার বাইরে কোনো সত্য নেই, থাকতে পারে না।
বিজ্ঞানী শেষে বললেন বটে মিস্টার টেগোর, তাহলে বোধহয় আপনার থেকে আমি বেশি ধার্মিক।
All his life, the poet had amused himself scribbling and doodling over the corrections he made in his writings. We see them strewn across all his manuscripts. Some like prehistoric creatures, some dark eyes peering through dense ink, imaginary human forms, or simply leaves and ferns. We were all quite familiar with these playful forays he made with pen and ink, right up to the age of 70. But when he took up a paintbrush in his old age, he seemed to embrace a new love, a whole new means of expression, through which he could break all conventional norms of creation in verse or prose. No rules, no grammar, just uninhibited alliance with his new love, which opened new vistas for Indian art.
His sense of visual aesthetics finds expression in many ways. He keeps building new houses, shifting around experimentally with new styles of Oriental architecture and decor, almost as a metaphor for his all-eclectic mind. Far removed from the original building in the campus, Shantiniketan Griho, a two-storied mansion built by his father in the typical British colonial style. Rabindranath mainly stays in Udayan. The next house he built was Konark. The third was a mud house, Shamuli, inspired by the local villages. He thought this would be his final refuge. Still, as an afterthought, he shifts to a small one-story bungalow called Punoshcho. And finally, he settles for a north-facing house, Udichi.
But, like all mortals, his physical being starts letting him down. Yet his vigorous mind still continues to travel through the wondrous faces of nature, through all the human foibles and fantasies, the lessons they had taught him, and the new experiences yet to be gathered.
One fine day, the poet decides to shear off the tresses he had been so fond of. He has a wry smile on his face as he says, "Someday I had to unburden myself."
In 1939, Rabindranath was ailing severely, unable to get out of bed. He is almost like Amol from Dagghor, a play he has written in 1911 about a little ailing boy waiting for an invitation from the king, a poetic metaphor for death. The play is being re-rehearsed by the boys of Shantiniketan for a new performance. The poet wishes to add a few new songs to it and writes, "Shomukhe Shanti Barabar." But on second thoughts, he puts it away, reserving it for his own funeral. However, Dagghor was not staged this time.
On 25th July 1941, the poet leaves Shantiniketan for Calcutta, and thence, for the longest journey he would ever make, Rabindranath Tagore passed away on August 7, 1941. Away from his beloved Bengal, away from his land of the Vedas and Upanishads, away from the world he so passionately embraced, still unafraid, still alone.
In 1942, 1 year after the poet died, Janusz Korczak, a Jewish physician and cultural activist, staged Rabindranath's play Daghor, the post office, in Warsaw, performed by the children of the Auschwitz concentration camp. It was to prepare the children for death in the gas chambers. Since then, the world has faced many holocausts, many genocides, countless conflagrations, an endless cycle of violence. But that reassuring voice, "Fear not, the fire will not touch you," still raises faint echoes in those who have the heart to hear.
মধু